Hey guys, it's Mayen, and I'm here to work on a project cake and also give a short demonstration on how to use some of the molds in this project cake. So we are starting with a small 6-inch cake, and before I show you how to use the molds, just on making these impressions, I used an impression mat like this, made the impression, and if there are some parts that aren't really clear, I used a barbecue stick, reinforced the groove, and then I had lots of silver drudgery for that, and just made some small impressions using a fondant impression tool just for the indents. Alright, so let me work on the lid, and then we'll proceed with our project cake. Okay, as you can see, I've made the cover of our small trinket box. I used white fondant. I just traced it on a 6-inch cake circle. I put it there, and then for this white stripe, I used the Martha Stewart mold, and I just cut off the top part. So we're left with just this. And then there was a small gap there that kind of bothered me, so I used an extruder, and there's a small flat, there you go, and then I just lined that on the sides just to make it a little more polished. Anyway, I have used 2 of the molds here. I sell these in a set of 8, so there are 4 of the keyholes and 4 of the keys, but I'm just using this pair here. And then we're gonna go ahead and proceed with putting the trinkets around the trinket box. So okay guys, so for this part, I'm gonna show you how I used the molds in decorating the trinket box. So we're just gonna go over some of them, and then we're gonna put them all in the cake and paint over them. So this is the keyhole that you saw, and we're not going to use a whole lot of gum paste in it, so probably just this much. And the nice thing about using molds like this is that it's very easy. It is, let's say, foolproof. If it starts to stick to your hand, I have a shortening here. Here in the US, we have a brand called Crisco. So just rub that on your fingers and just start to smooth it out. Now, because this is a thin mold, what you can do is just push it out like that. Just make sure that you don't overfill it, so that you don't have a lot of trimming to do later. It is supposed to be thin. And just leave it. Now the key, since it's a little more delicate, a little thinner on some parts, what I want to do is I just start with a small roll. I pinch it and I press it in. So pinch and press, and then don't worry so much about things not being perfect on the first time you press it in, like that. Because remember, this is going to be the bottom part. So even if you take out some parts as you press, don't worry, because you could always put it back. Okay, so any excess, you could just take your finger and just slide it out, and it's not really gonna affect the other side. Alright, I would, for something that's this intricate, I would put it in the fridge for a few minutes, and then when you pop that out, it's gonna come out like this. Okay, and then for the other molds that we're gonna use, I have a set of heart molds that I'm currently selling, and also a set of charm molds, which I'm going to use for a charm bracelet. So the heart ones are pretty easy to use. Just a ball, a small ball of gum paste or fondant, and it's as easy as just literally pressing it in. And just leaving it for a few minutes. Not even. You can actually just pop this out immediately. And then you're already going to see the pattern as you pop it out. So that's what I like about molds, because they're so easy to use, and the pattern is already there. So I do want you to use them as tools, especially when the design calls for small intricate stuff that would take ages to make by hand. So that, like this one for example, a small crown charm. You just press it in, fill in the cavity, and leave it. So here we have a mirror, we have 2 crowns, we have a stiletto shoe, and just pinch and press, and then just scrape away the excess. We also have a couple hearts and a comb. So I think this set is 8, a set of 8. The reason why I'm doing this is because I got an email, a request to show how to use the smaller type of molds, because some are having a little bit of a challenge using them. And I also wanted to, show some more uses for them, instead of just using them as, buttons and brooches, but you can also use them as charms. So we're going to leave this here, and I'm going to show you some new stuff that I'm going to put out on the store. Well, this is already in the store. These are 2 chain molds, and I'm going to post this one soon. Well, when you're watching the video, it will be out anyway, but these are also a couple of chain molds that you can use for borders, or for bracelets, or for handles for purses and all that stuff. So I'm going to show you that individually, but for the first one, I have 2 different widths for the chain. I have 2 small chains, and one is flatter and smaller than the other. So what I'm going to show you right now is the slightly larger one. So we're going to use a thin roll of gum paste, and then here I don't want you to overfill it, so just enough. It's just a small amount. Don't go over the cavity. So pinch and press, and pinch and press it. Sometimes even when you do this, there's a very, very, very thin film that's left behind, and that's going to be easy to take out, compared to overfilling it, which is just going to be disastrous in the very end. So something like this, don't wait too long to take it out, because it's going to crack. But I'm just going to show you real quick. If we take it out now, it's going to look like that. So you're going to see the chain part, and you're still going to see the middle part where there's supposed to be a hole in it, right? Because it's a chain. We're going to take care of that when we put it on the cake. But real quick, with that chain, this is what I just dried earlier, but these are 2 of the chains. When we pop out the molds, or the gum paste from the mold, we're going to attach all these small trinkets or charms to the chain and make it look like a charm bracelet. It's starting to look really nice now. Again, it's very easy to pop out. So this is coming from the mold that we just did. So really nice detail for a couple of seconds of pressing in. If you have a cutter, that's a really good tool to use when you're just trimming the very tiny parts that are hanging from the sides. But for the most part, it's easy to fix. Alright, so now that you know how to use it, we're going to put these chains, and you're going to see me paint over them, and we're going to decorate the trinket box real quick. Okay, so before I put this chain on the trinket box, I wanted to show you how to use this other mold that I have that's good for borders or for bracelets or bag straps. What I do usually do is pinch and press, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like really thin, but I pinch and press, and then you go over that raised part in the middle so that you actually create a hole. Now this part is very difficult to do with the smaller chains, so with the smaller chains we're going to create the illusion of the hole, but for a bigger chain mold like this, there's no problem. So and again, once it starts sticking to your fingers, just use shortening. Like this. See, so we use shortening, and don't worry if it starts looking like that, because you can always squeeze them back. Okay, so for this trinket box, I'm going to use 3 of the chain molds that we have. I'm going to use the smallest one for a necklace, and then this one for a charm bracelet, and the biggest one is for a necklace, for a bracelet, and we're going to put a bigger jewel at the end, kind of like a big charm at the end of the bracelet. So you just got to be a little patient, and don't worry so much if it's not so perfect on this side, because that's the back part. Just use your fingers to gently get the gum paste in the cavity. Push, push, push. And if you think you have too much, very gently just use your hand, put shortening in it, and then push it back if it changes the shape. So go back, because the more that you trim it here, the nicer that you do it in this stage, the less trimming you're going to do later. So just go over each one and try to remember what the mold looks like, and take away the excess so that you don't have to clean it up too much when you flip it around. Alright, so let's say this is good. What I like about these molds is that they're flexible and they're reusable, and you get such detail in a minute. Okay, so this is what I was telling you about, like some excess like that. It will be easy to take these out with either small scissors or a cutter. So we're going to do that real quick, and then you're going to see the chains that we're going to put on the cake. So just do that, a little bit of cutting. There you go. All right, I'll see you on the cake.